आज हम पार्ट 2 देखेंगे एथिक्स एंड वैल्यूज़ इन इंजीनियरिंग प्रोफेशन का। ठीक है, तो चलिए सॉल्व करते हैं पार्ट 2। ठीक है, व्हेन शुड whistle blowing be attempted? There must be clear and great harm that can be avoided. The whistleblower must be in clear position to report on the problem. The whistleblower must have reasonable chance of success in stopping the harmful activity. The whistleblower feels that all other lines of action within the context of the organization have been explored and shut off. Hence, all the statement is the correct. ठीक है, हम नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. In dash 1 compare different courses of action by multiplying the probability that a given course of action will produce some outcome by the magnitude of the harm or benefits of that outcome and comparing this quantity of the quantity resulting from alternative action. Hence, cost benefit analysis. Which statement are considered or bribes as the basis of engineers profession ethics? Anything of value given intentionally is extract a favorable action from individual. Consider the following statement. Statement 1. In an organization, organizational value determine the goals to be achieved. Statement 2. Any discussion that a person makes in her official capacity are attributable to the organization rather than the individual. Hence, statement 1 and 2 are correct. A dash is a group of persons who want to cooperate in service the same idea better than they could if they did not cooperate. Profession and engineers, and both A and B is correct. Consider the following statement. Statement 1. Ethics is in sense practical for the way in which we choose to act and live in the primary objective to such analysis and computation. Ethical discussion like engineering discussion may not have significant consequence for human well-being, which only statement 1 is correct. Emerging of our current scholarship on the nature of communication as dialogue rather than an monologue, hence dialogical perspective, and dash is one the claims of which can never be morally outweighed by other factor. Absolute right. Professional ethics. It set rules which are adopted by a group of people. It's about managing values and conflict, gives a systematic approach to solve ethical problem. Hence, all are correct. Engineering as a profession deals with which of the following? It is a specialized skill which require minimum academic intellectual capability. It has a social contribution. It is a decision are capable influencing the large society, and all of the above. Whistling blowers are, which is the employee of an organization who highlight causes of corruption within the organization. Corruption under New Prevention of Corruption Act include demand side corruption, supply side corruption, private corruption, obstruction to justice. Hence, all is the correct. Which of the following are the tools used to regulate the ethical behavior of engineers in an organization? Professional standards and codes. Consider the following statement in regard with whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is the act of informing authorities of harmful, dangerous, or legal activities. Whistleblowers are employees of an organization who raise a concern about a wrongdoing in their workplace. Hence, both statement is correct. Accept set of behavior, adequate law, morals, and ethics between the engineers, other individuals, and society as whole is a interaction rules. A situation in which an engineer's loyalty and obligations may be compromised because of self-interest or other loyalties and obligation is which is a conflict of interest. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Which is the an engineer should be loyal toward the organization, even if the organization is involved in wrongdoing. Being loyal to them serves the same goal, the moral goods of the employer. Ethical engineers are, which is the incorruptible. An engineer files a complaint against the company for committing frauds for which he removed from the organization. He is asked to apologize and withdraw the company to get his job back. What do you suggest should be right course of action for him, which is the go to the court and seek justice and compensation? Which of the following is the best principle is to be used by an engineer while evaluating the location and benefits of a project on the ground of public interest, which is justice? What are the instantaneous of corruption? Allotting tender on the basis of favoritism, nepotism, and conflict of interest, hence all of the above. What is the foundation of engineering ethics, which is a professionalism? What was the being the cause so deteriorating moral and the ethical values in public servant today? Lack of accountability, lack of moral duty towards citizen, public apathy towards such issue, lack of gender equalities. Hence 1, 2 and 3 is correct. What should be su- creation of requirement of engineers in public service? Honesty, technical competence, empathy, hence all of the above. Engineering ethics is needed because they make the engineer socially conscious of their discussion. Which of the following is a relevant factor in interpersonal skill? Positive attitude, preparedness to listen, ability to manage emotion. Hence, all of the above is correct. Statement on interpersonal skill require that one has the good knowledge of any language. Statement to interpersonal communication ethics is worth consider. Both are correct. Statement 1, in the presence of communication message is the first step. Statement 2, a written statement of policies and principles that guide the behavior of all employees is called code of ethics. Hence statement 2 is only correct. Adding incentive to the job is not included in intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, outsourced motivation. Hence 1, 3 are only correct. Statement 1, communication that cuts across functions and levels in an organization is called as diagonal communication. Upward communication is the process of information flowing from the lower level of the hierarchy of the upper level. Both are correct. To effectively reduce liability exposure, the personal engineer should maintain professional standards in practice, pursue continuing educational opportunity, work under the supervision of senior engineers. Hence, only one is correct. Statement 1, style of leadership where a leader works with subordinate to identify needed change, creating a vision to guide the change through inspiration and executing the change in tandem with committed members of group is called transformational leadership. Statement 2, it contingency of leadership, the success of leader of a function of various contingencies in the form of subordinate task and group variable. Both are correct. Statement 1, transactional leadership, also known as marginal leadership, focus on supervision, organization, and performance. Statement 2, charismatic authority is defined as the resting on deviation to the exceptional sensitivity, heroism, or exemplary character of an individual person and the normative patterns in order revealed in ordained by him. Correct answer is the both statements are the correct. The perceptual process which explain implicit leadership include stereotyping, need for situation control, attribution error. Hence all of the above. In order to understand verbal non-verbal communication, which of the following thinking should be done? Accept cultural difference, studying your own culture, learn about other culture. Hence all of the above. Statement 1, engineering ethics is the study of the decision policy, the values that are moral desirable in engineering practice. Statement 2, engineering ethics consists of the responsibility and right that catch to the endorsed by those engaged in engineering. Both are correct. Statement 1. The overall goal of preventive ethics is to improve quality by identifying, prioritize, and addressing ethics quality gaps on a system level. Preventive ethics do not combine qualitative improved techniques and ethical analysis. Only statement 1 is correct. Statement on professional ethics is defined as the personal and corporate rules that govern behavior within the context of particular profession. Statement code of the ethics does not consist all the obligations that professional must respect when carrying out their duties. Statement 1 is correct. The elements that make up a professional or an organization is traditionally built up. The organization is devoted to some specialized work in the spirit of public service. The work intentionally sustains the workers as a source of livelihood. Hence, all of the above is correct. Qualities of professional practitioner include responsibility, competence, discretion. Hence, all of the above. Statement 1. The professional man must not be involved with the employer or the employee in such a way that professional judgment is visited. Statement 2. Owing on his special knowledge, the professional man has an intrinsic authority and he was also an extensive authority which to him by virtue of the position he held, which is both are correct. Statement 1. Impartially enable the profession to fulfill his contract with his client and to treat all parties unequally. Statement to ethical code is not legislation, but it is equally forceful as it approved by the profession. Hence, statement 2 is only correct. Statement 1. Engineering ethics is not an activity nor a discipline that aim to understanding the moral values that ought to guide engineering practice, resolving moral issues in engineering and justifying moral judgment concerning engineering. Statement 2. A primary concern of engineering is safety of the public that will use a product and device he designed. Hence, only statement 2 is correct. Statement 1. A corporate member shall apply his knowledge and expertise in the interest of employer or the client for whom he shall work without compromising with her obligation to these intent. A corporate member can act outside in the domains of his competence but with diligence, care, sincerity, and honesty. Hence, only statement 1 is correct. A corporate member shall not be directly or indirectly injure the professional reputation of the another member. Statement 2. A corporate member shall not act in any member which may injure the reputation of the institution or may cause any damage to institutional, financial, or otherwise. And both are correct. Statement 1. Professional should keep his employer or client fully informed on all matters in respect of his assignment which are likely to lead to the conflict of interest. Statement 2. A professional should maintain confidentiality of any information without more sincerity unless expressly permitted to disclose such information or unless such permission if they withhold any adversely affect the welfare, health, and society of community. Hence, both are correct. Statement 1. A professional should reform with from including his client to breach a contract entered into the another duly appointed engineer. Statement 2. A professional, if asked by the employer or client to review the work of another person or organization, discuss the review with the other person or organization to arrive at a balanced opinion. Hence, both are correct. It is a morally permissible for engineers to engage in whistle blowing when the following conditions are satisfied. First, the damage that will be done by the product to the public is serious and an anxiety has been made known to the superiors but no step has been taken. There is strong evidence that release the information to public would prevent the harm. Hence, all the statements are correct. Engineer ethics are needed because they make the engineer socially conscious of their decision. The effective reduce liability exposure. The professional engineers is geoscientists should correct and maintain professional standard in practice. Which of the following factors shape the ethical behavior of the member of the organization? Organization culture, code of ethics, the superior behavior, and all of the above. Following a certain statements about the ethics of engineers are considered as which is a civics virtue, uh, altruism, honesty and courage, cooperation and values, time, empathy, and all of the above. The term which refer to social action, social action with high settlement and sanctions are attached is called which is called mores. What are ethical skills? Code of conduct, responsibility, efficiency, and preservance, punctuality. In the context of principle of ethics of goods, engineers, which one of the following statements are correct? Ethical values means a belief or principle based on a moral understanding of regarding what is right. And next character, non-ethical values, a belief or preference that is not related to right or wrong. Hence D is correct. A and C option is both are correct. Discussion based primarily on the almost unconscious reliance on the decision maker experience without a conscious rational analysis having being made is called which is integrity. Assertion reasoning. Commitment is considered to be voluntary and spontaneous act and not enforced by an compulsion of a authoritative act. Reason. It is also evident to say that selfishness is totally eradicated by the true application of commitment. Hence, both statement correct, but R is not correct explanation of a assertion and reasoning. The moral values and technical judgment are the two important constituents of the engineering ethic. Reason. It is typical sense the term ethics strictly focus on the professional morality and integrity of concerned people associated with any career. Hence, both A and R are true, but R is not a correct explanation of a exam point of view. Important point: situation in which an engineer's loyalty and obligation may be compromised because of self-interest on other loyalty and obligation is called as conflict of interest. The general and abstract concept of right and wrong behavior called from philosophy, theology, and professional societies is called ethics. Except set of behavior, adequate law, moral, and ethics between the engineers, other individual, and society as a whole are interaction rule. Legal rights in engineering profession are the just claim given to all humans within a government jurisdiction. The accepted standard of right and wrong that are usually applied to personal behavior is called morals. The system of rule established by authority is called law. The code of behavior of courtesy are called etiquette. The main purpose of code of ethics is to protect the public at large as well as the reputation of profession. Occasionally, conflict of interest may occur accidentally or unavoidably. In such case, the best course of action is to disclose the conflict to your employer and anyone else directly involved. The key values engineering as a profession are safety, human development, respect of nature. The foundation principle of characteristic spirit of nature engineering services great energy and talent for perfection as human being has the spirit within his heart. Holistic approach toward inward and outward worldly affairs, collective and corporate approach towards work. For professional normative inquiry now is important for which a following reason to set most desirable standard of behavior. The delegation of duty that cause damage to an institution is referred as professional incompetence, impairment, malpractice, negligence. For the best model for the engineering profession, which of the following role is played by the engineer at a catalyst to social change? Ethical issue that can affect an engineer's profession and personal life is termed as moral. The closeness or commonness of attitude, behavior, trust, and performance without the organization designated is communication. The definition of moral is defined the what is right or wrong for an individual or a community. Ethical egoism is in business discussions moral agent called to what is their own self-interest. Virtue ethics is it assume good person will make good decision and person qualities affect decision. Code of ethics state about the engineer's duties to society to employees to client, to colleagues, to subordinates, and to be profession. Moreover, when these duties confess, however, when these duties conflict, which group should take precedence? Society descriptive ethics is comparative study of ethics is in past and the present, as well as ethics in our society of other society. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Which is a notation or belief about manners, tangent custom, and towards law, and few example of morality. What is meant by conflict of interest? A conflict between the private interest and the official responsibility of person in a position of trust. Statement 1. Agency loyalty is action to fulfill one contractual duties to an employer. Statement 2. Agency loyalty is entirely a matter of action whenever its motives. Hence, statement 1 2 are both are individually correct, but statement 2 is not a correct explanation of statement 1. Consider the following step for individual regarding preparation for disclosure of the unethical behavior. First, study and document the facts and formulate a plan for an appeal. Take up the matter with higher management. Discuss the matter with immediate supervisor. If the internal appeal does not resolve the conflict, then he should notify the company that he intends to continue with an external review of the problem. Hence 1 3 2 and 4 correct sequence order. ठीक है. Euthanasia refers to, which is correct option is D, killing of terminally ill person suffering acute with no hope of survival. And dash is a moral requirement to follow a certain course of action, that is to do or reform or doing certain things. It may arise for making promise or an agreement or form entering a profession, which is both A and B, ethical duty and obligation. And dash is one that person can trade away, which is a alienable right. Statement 1, statement 2. Statement 1, decision privacy is the exclusion of others from decisions such as health care decision or material decision made by the person and her group of intimation. This positional privacy which exclude other from knowledge one's positions or state of mind. Hence, statement 1 2 are both are correct. Statement 1. Consistency refusal include refusal to carry out work or a military order that one believes in to immoral. Statement 2. Breaking a law to raise some moral objection to either the law one has broken or some other law or policy is called civil disobedience. And correct is both statements are correct. A dash shows a lack of knowledge or experience, which is an incompetence mistake. Consider the following statement: microscopic vision resembles tunnel vision only is so far as both involves a narrowing of our field of vision. Statement: microscopic vision enhance vision, a giving up of information not likely to be useful under the circumstances for information more likely to be useful. Which is both statement 1 and 2 are correct. Business ethics is predominant, which is in both A and B. Within business only in public awareness. Organizational control is needed to ensure loyalty to organization, maintain quality, reduce conflict, control deviation from organizational goal. Hence, all statements are correct. Which one of the following a consequence? A corruption in public service, which is effectiveness. Enforcement of mandatory corporate sector responsibilities (CSR) under the new Companies Act 2013 can be considered ethical on which of the following combined. Corporate must return back to the society a part of their profit as they are impose a burden through the economic exploration of resource. Corporate or profit seeker, hence they must be punished. Hence only one is correct. You are a businessman who plan to start a new business venture for which a license required from a regulatory department. You have submitted the application after fulfillment all the procedure formalities and the requirement document. Even after months from the date application, you have not received the license. The reason you have come to know for the delay is demand for legal gratification. The amount asked is within you means and is then the loss you are suffering very month you will hence make an application under RTI Acts stating status of your license application and then the frame in which such license are required to be issued. You are handling a time bond project. During the project review meeting you find the project likely to get delayed due to lack of cooperation of team member. You could look into the reason for the delay. What is the ethical issue involved in the intellectual property of right of inventor and his payment issue the of right of traditional people who are not given benefit of traditional knowledge, parents increasing the cost of product leading to price rise of common people, plagiarism and copyright issue correct, hence all of the above. Your male subordinate has sent some unsocialist message to the female subordinate. She complained you about this and tell you that he is doing it for a long time. It is a action more preferable by you. You will ask the female complaint to submit evidence based on which you can issue formal inquiry against your subordinate. What aspect ethical problems are related to euth- euthanasia? Life of divine so should not be taken by oneself. Right to life does not include right to die. Passive euthanasia is allowed but not active. It is ethical. All of the above. Ethical relativism means means what is ethical to one society is not ethical to other. What do you do if you catch laying in front of your boss? Will accept the mistake and promise not to do it again. Civil society can make administrative ethical by which is by rising public opinion and protest. What are the reasons for dimensioning integrity in public service? Accountability is weak. Is responsible for failure of government policies? All of the above. What is conflict of interest? None of the above. Who among the who among us the following is most corrupt? One who provide wrong information to public. What is a aggressive corruption, which is a public servant using their position to explain citizen? Which of the following provide the accurate distinction between leaders and manager? Which is a manager is position leadership in the function. Which of the following statement is defined as their gift? Which is a it is a not cash gift, it's not expense in value, it is part of casual business, customer return some desired favor, and all of the above. To reduce the intents of the corruption and misuse of authority, which of the following decisions then according to you could be best? Which is the motivate employees through lecturer training and real life case study? As an engineer in construction company, you witness large scale corruption and fraud in government contracts. You are conscious of public interest being suffered. You want to end his culture of corruption. You will do which is file a right petition in the court. What are the ethical issues related to euthanasia? The right of life does not include right to die. Right to die is against the basic idea of life, which is a natural gift. Misuse the provision by the medical fraternity and member to be family and all of the above. Which of the following may be consequence of corruption? Delay, pilferage, conflict of interest, pol- politicalization. Hence, 1 and 2 only is correct. Your friend warned job discreetly and you are the going to be an interview board. Your friend know it and ask you to favor him. You do such a situation. Hence, I can you will excuse yourself from appearing on the due date. Strategize the conflict of interest. Consider the statement. Coercive corruption is more dangerous than the collusive corruption. Media is considered fourth state of democracy, hence only two is correct. What provision can be accepted to increase the ethical behavior from public servant? Increase in salary, promotion, zero tolerance to corruption, motivation. Hence, 3 and 4 is correct. The conflict an issue in the organization and their control or occupational crime is called as the white collar. Which of the following is not a characteristic of but C, which is a politicalization? What are the ethical issues involved in nuclear proliferation, which is it is a thread of human existence. Unethical behavior is often triggered by a system of check and balance, pressure from higher management to achieve goal, an organizational atmosphere that condemns such behavior, which is 2 and 3 is only correct. Interpersonal communication cannot be called as dynamic communication, mass communication, face-to-face public communication, and 2 and 3 is correct. Statement: a moral dilemma is a conflict in which you have to choose between two or more action and have moral reason for choosing each action. Statement: to a problem or situation that requires a person or organization to choose between alternatives that must be evaluated as right, ethical, or wrong. Unethical is called ethical issue. Hence, both are correct. Statement: whistling blowing can be defined as the release of information by member of an organization who is not a former member of an organization. Statement 2: whistling blowing is evidence of legal and for immoral conduct of the organization or conduct in the organization that is not the public interest. And statement 2 is correct. Which of the following is the most calling and act whistling blowing? The information of genuine evidence of some significant kind of misconduct on the part of an organization or some of its members. The information must be released outside normal channel of communication. The release of information must be some things is done vulnerability and opposed to being legally required. Hence, all of the above is correct. Statement of whistling blowing can be undertaken as the normal protest. Statement of whistling blowing motivate to correct some wrong and not seek revenge to personal achievement. Hence, both are correct. An engineer design a small structural steel building for a client using pretrate structure design software obtained from the interact. The engineer later learned that the software give accurate stress analysis for tension but does not properly predict bulking the column in comparison. The computer program patch and received analysis shows that the building is not as safe as the first believed. An extreme snowfall could cause the supporting column to buckle and the building might collapse completely. Such a service snowfall occur about once every 10 years. What should you engineer do? Contact the client, disclose the problem, and try to negotiate a way to reinforce the column. Occasionally, a conflict of interest may occur accidentally or unavoidably. In such a case, the best course of action is to disclose the conflict of your employer and anyone else directly involved. What is the need to study ethics to responsibly confront moral issue raised by technological activity to recognize and resolve moral dilemma to achieve moral autonomy. Hence, all of the above is correct. The major source of value crisis in modern society is he carries some values which are in conflict with the large social values. The capacity to perform the function of the supervisor role due to lack of training, experience, unwillingness, or inflexibility is referred as the supervisor incompetence. Consider the following regarding plagiarism: using intellectual property of other without their permission. It is ethically incorrect. Hence, both statements is correct. Assertion and reasoning. A moral dilemma is a conflict in which you have to choose between two or more complex ethical or moral issue and have reason for choosing each action. The inability to keep up the punctuality or promise due to sudden and intellectual development is also the source of moral dilemma. Yeah, hence both statements correct, but R is not the correct explanation of a exam point of view से important points देखते हैं. Example of potential conflict of interest: a procurement manager is having a friendship with supplier. Whistling blowing an example disobedience by the protest. Engineers have the obligation to keep the certain information of their client or policy or decision secret or confidential. Number of shareholders of company. Which course of action lead to professional to disobey to his organize the activity assigned and contrary to interest of society welfare? The intellectual property right in India comes under the governance of which ministry? Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The values calls upon the whistling blowing or city plagiarism cannot appear if person caged in ethical paradox when the outside interest influence or threaten the professional judgment in service the employer or client. Which situation arise conflict of interest? The moonlighting is it is a situation when a person is working as employee for two different companies in his spare time. That type of inquiry which is based on values narrative inquiry. The work ethics is aimed to not ensuring which of the following, which is the consumption and distribution. Which one of the following is not included under the categories of civic virtue as a indispensable for a self-governing administration, hence which is a self-reflection. Statement 1: what is illegal may not always be ethical. Statement 2: ethical standards are the law share some ethics that is permissible and impermissible. Hence, statement 1 and 2 are both are correct, but 2 is not a correct explanation of statement. Consider the following factor is the making ethical judgment. The motive from which the action springs, the nature of the act itself include the mean adopt, the resulting consequence. Hence, all is the statement is correct. The whistling blower is someone who inform on an illegally unethical corruption activity going in the organization. Which one of the following statement is correct with respect to the societal development, which is a flock walk grow into tradition and tradition grow into custom? Which one of the following statement is correct with respect to convergence theory on the social change? As societies become modernized, they begin resemble on another more closely. Match the following: responsibility of a owner, responsibility of investor, it is a marketing, responsibility of employee, uh, responsibility of professional institute, which is providing education, responsibility of owner, perform the duties, and responsibility of employees, which is a corporation to the office. Hence, I think correct answer is रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी और कंट्रोल पावर होगा, ऑनर का हो जाए कंट्रोल पावर, ठीक है, ए का 1, ठीक है, और रिस्पॉन्सिबल इन्वेस्टर प्रोवाइड एजुकेशन, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ एम्प्लॉयज परफॉर्म द ड्यूटीज, रिस्पॉन्सिबल प्रोफेशन इंस्टीट्यूट कॉरपोरेशन टू द बिजनेस, हैं डी, मैंने गलत कर दिया था, ठीक. Corporate social responsibility that extend beyond legal mandates can help meet socialist expectations to the absence of stationary device. Consider the following: accountability is the legal responsibility of an individual in an organization. Responsibility is both moral and legal obligation of an individual in an organization, and both are correct. Which of the following statements is are correct? Engineers need to be ethical as they can impact the society. Engineers are ethical experts who need not brother regarding ethics and morality, and only one statement is correct. Which of the following is not a type ethics or activity environmental audit? In the context of organizational behavior, the term confidentially refer as which is referred to obligation of an organization towards its client to keep their information secret. Which one of the following statement comes under social experiment terms of good engineers? Role of engineers for environmental protection. From the society standpoint, one cannot deny the dash position that various component of society intellectual with functionalist. Exam point of view is important. Consider the following parameters related to a product work and arrange them in descending order, then act as engineer: safety, security, reliability, economics. Consider the following parameters related to the product work and arrange them in descending order, acting as consumer: safety, economics, reliability, security. Incidence of delegation is giving part of one work and authority to other within an organization. The environmental ethics include political conditions, social factor, economic conditions, all of the above. Statement 1: increasingly employees have generally tend to expect engineers to pose both hard skill and soft skill. Statement: soft skill mean the knowledge of the software. Which one of the following is not the skill needed in the workplace in the future for initiative thinking, using information and the communication technology in education, which is a responsibility? The engineers for sustainable world mean for using the professional talent to create a more sustainable world was found in which 2001. Engineer work is a very complex environment and are bound to work under several contexts, which among the following not a context of work of engineer: political, social, economic, organizational, politics, and Only 4 is correct. Exam point of the code of conduct, which is the objective that behavior of all professional employees meet certain values and norms, is known as disciplinary code. A code of conduct that has the objective to help individual professional to employ to exercise moral judgment in a concrete situation of the basis of more general values and norms of the profession is known as adversely code. The code of conduct which express the moral values of professional or department known as aspirational code. Code of conducts are unable to guide law and order. Test type of ethical situation arrive in the front of engineer value conflict. Responsibility of engineer toward environment. Which of the following statement not correct about the code of conflict? These are covered general guiding principle. The first of the fundamental canons of the codes of the National Society of Professional Engineers say that engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. They very compensate man engineer Brand die in 2001 was profoundly affected by the poor living condition in underdeveloped countries such as absence of clean water. He found EWB USA in 2001 for improving the living condition of poor engineering students in EWB is responsible for many projects throughout the world that have the full form of term EWB, Engineers Without Borders. Consider the following statements regarding the code of ethics for engineering. Hence, the safety of health and welfare of the public are the paramount or important performance service only in the area of their competence. Issue public statement strictly in an objective, truthful manner. Hence, all of the statement is correct. Consider the following statement in a world of limited resource, limited sympathy, and limited rationality. Competition leading to conflict can rise rather than a more desirable state of mutually beneficial cooperation. The two requirements of the conduct of war, the use of discriminate and proportional means, are those which are most immediately relevant to the use of engineer for military purpose. And both statements are true. Ethical code of guideline of engineering society and mostly written in term of dash and term of dash that society that act as forbidden are required. Act moral rules and obligation. Correct the following statement of the chosen correct and there is a phenomena or predominant egoism found in the action of engineers. Industrial applies in the result of conflict of interest. Loyalty of engineers toward the organization should not be blind. Conflict of interest inevitable in the organization. Hence 1 to 3 both are correct. Which of the following is a reform of the most crucial and enforcing ethical conduct in public servant, which is a behavioral? Consider the following: ethical governance is good governance, all governance is good governance, hence only one statement is correct. Which of the following is a usually objective code of ethics? To evaluate the ethical component of the proposed action of the employee, to improve the public image of the company, to enhance the profit of business, hence 1 and 2 are only correct. Statement 1, Statement 2. A code is defined as a fundamental belief that usually encompasses several rules. Statement 2. A code is defined as the system of the non-stationary and non-mandatory rule as a personal conduct. Hence, Statement 2 is correct. Statement 1. Enforcement is the process of ensuring compliance and with laws, regulation, and rules, standard or social norm. Statement 2 invades its tendency to avoid commitment of self-reliance of especially by responding only indirectly. Hence, both our statements are true. Statement 1. A code of ethics document outline the mission and values of the business of organization. Statement 2. Ethical conduct is adding in way consistent with that society and individuals typically think of good values. Both are correct. Code of ethics state the engineer duties to society, to employer, to client, to colleagues or subordinates, and to profession. However, then these duties conflict the group should procedure, which is society, the public. The National Society of Professional Engineers has the code which requires professional to, which is a correct. If further the case of public would dissociate themselves from organizations that are questionable character and advise clearly the consequence if the technical opinion is rolled over non-technical, hence all of the above. Consider the following statement is respect to the code of ethics of engineer give NSPE, National society of professional engineer, avoidance of descriptive act of each employer as a client faithful agent or trustee, the performing service not only in the areas of their competence but their areas also issue public statement subjective, hence 1 and 2 statement is correct. Code of conduct, which is not a core principle of society for human resource management, code of ethics and professional responsibility, fairness of justice, professional development, hence all of the above. यहाँ पे हमारा ethics and values in engineering profession खत्म होता है. नेक्स्ट वीडियो में हम नेक्स्ट यूनिट कवर करेंगे. ठीक है. थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग दिस वीडियो. प्लीज लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब.